Hey everybody, Ryan Lilly here with Old Town, coming at you from the Old Town studio today with a tip that I think might just help you if you find yourself in a precarious situation like I found myself in a few months ago. So let me set the scene for you. I was down in Florida filming some content for Old Town. I was out with a group of people fishing in the Jupiter Inlet. We were snook fishing. Fishing was fantastic. We had a strong outgoing tide. We were fishing the mouth of the outlet, and the fishing was hot. Everything was going great. And then, poor form, I accidentally ran over one of my colleagues' fishing line, which is no fun for anyone. And I found myself having to remove the prop and undo the fishing line from the prop of my boat. And in the process, I dropped my prop pin when I disassembled that prop assembly to free up the line. I dropped that prop pin and it went all 30 feet down, gone forever. And I was left there without a prop. And I didn't panic at first because I am usually very good about taking an additional parts kit with me when I'm out on the water. That includes extra prop pins, prop nuts, props, things that I need to service my drive while out on the water. And so I didn't panic because I thought I had that kit. But lo and behold, I forgot the kit that day. And so there I was, marooned out on the water. Thankfully, you know, I had a paddle, had a way to get back, but I was left without a prop pin. And so we still had a lot to do that day, and I had to think critically about how I could repair that boat in the moment to get me back to shore. I will share that tip with how I was able to pull it off. But beforehand, would love to take this opportunity just to remind you of some, you know, general safety precautions and things that you should do before a day out on the water. First and foremost, the most important tip is to always not only have a PFD, but wear a PFD while you're out on the water. Even the most proficient swimmers and kayakers go for a swim from time to time, and it's important, even if you're a strong swimmer, to always wear that PFD. You could be battling high winds, heavy currents. You know, a lot of the great fishing happens in some of the most precarious water conditions and weather conditions, so it's always important to wear a PFD. It doesn't matter, you know, we make an awesome line of PFDs, they're great, but it doesn't matter to us what PFD you wear, it just matters to us that you wear one. So make sure you find one that fits great, that's breathable, it's comfortable, it's something that you feel comfortable wearing every day when you're out in the water, even when it's hot. It's important. Also, it's very important that if you can't be out there on the water with other people, that you always tell someone where you're going to go. Even when you're out on a group, it's important to let someone know landside what your plan is, when you're planning to launch, when you're planning to be back. That way, if something does happen out on the water, you can be quickly and easily located if someone doesn't hear from you. Now, in this situation where we're fishing offshore conditions, it's always important too to make sure that you carry a VHF radio with you. VHF radios, marine VHF radios, float, and they're a critical tool for you to not only communicate with your group, but with other boaters and with the U.S. Coast Guard if you need it. So if you're fishing big water conditions, offshore conditions, inshore conditions even, make sure that you invest in a VHF radio. It's a critical tool in your safety kit and a worthwhile investment for sure. Cell phones are great, but you know, cell phones fail. It's always great to have a redundant way to communicate. And so always carry a VHF radio with you as well. Now, I have reminded the community at large to make sure that you do create that parts kit, the parts kit that I forgot that day. And you know, use that tackle box that came with your Old Town Sportsman boat to build out a parts kit to help you service your boat if something happens. Extra prop pins, prop nuts, prop washers, props. If you're running a Minn Kota drive, extra dielectric grease, things like that to make sure that you can service your drive while you're out on the water in case something happens. But even when you are prepared, things still can happen. And even though I did forget my parts kit that day, I'm a relatively prepared person, and something still happened to me, and I had to come up with a field fix for my boat. And that's where I'd like to show you kind of what I was able to do to get myself back to shore. Now, I do tell you this story, and I preface it by saying that this is not a long-term solution. This is something that I found worked to get me back to shore. And so I'm going to show you how to do it, but just be advised, this is not a long-term solution. You're going to need to replace your prop pin, if you're in the situation like me, when you get back to shore, if you're able to do something similar. So there I was, just dropped my prop pin in the drink, didn't have an extra, had to figure out a way to get back to shore. We're about 2.5 miles from the boat launch. That was a long paddle, especially up against the outgoing current in the Jupiter Inlet. And a paddle is great, and you always want to have one with you. But I really did not want to have to paddle that distance. And I just thought about what I had on board and something that I could cobble together to get my drive usable enough to get me back to shore. So, as anglers, we always have extra tackle on board. Even if you're a light packer, you typically have a variety of presentations for the fish that you're pursuing. And that day, I had a variety of extra swim bait hooks, circle hooks, things like that. And I was able to use a hook and replicate a prop pin in order to get me back to shore. Let me show you how I did that. So I found a hook in my setup that was a similar gauge and had a longer shaft. And so I'm going to, for demonstration purposes, show you I've got a VMC hook here with a nice long shaft here. It's very similar to the prop pin that you find on your drive, whether it's a PDL drive or an MK drive. So there it's very similar in length. I don't have to bend that hook, and it's even though it's a little bit smaller of a diameter, it definitely can suffice in a pinch. So I took my pliers and I cut a portion of that hook to make a prop pin. Just like that. So I was able to cobble together a in-the-moment prop pin to get me back to shore. So after you cut that section, insert it back into the drive. Careful not to also drop that section of hook into the water. Replace the prop. Just like that. Washer, prop nut, and there you go. You're back on the water. You're able to get back to shore. Again, be advised, this is not a long-term solution. You're going to want to get back to shore, and as soon as you're back to shore, you're going to want to order or go to your local Old Town dealer to buy more prop pins. Now, the prop pin, it's an awesome little thing. It's made out of soft metal, and it is a sacrificial part. So this is designed to break, to save your drive from breaking if you hit something, strike something hard under the water surface. And because it's a softer metal, it's also prone to corrosion. So it is important that you do abide by proper care and maintenance with your PDL or MK drives. That's making sure the prop is clear of debris. It's rinsing it down between uses, especially if you're in saltwater conditions, and even if you're really good about taking good care of your PDL and MK drives. That drive sitting in a humid environment for too long, it's going to corrode over time. So before you get out on the water, before the season starts, make sure you're inspecting your entire setup, but your drives especially. And if you do see any hints of corrosion in your prop pin, that's a great indicator that it's time to swap out that prop pin. Now, we do sell prop pin replacement kits on our website. We'll link that in the video description below. And I would just go ahead and buy half a dozen prop pins just to have them on hand, as well as prop nuts, prop washers, and a couple extra props, just so you can service your drive while you're out on the water. Now, again, make sure you always wear your PFD. Make sure you have a form of communication outside of a cell phone, whether it's a satellite communication device or, like I recommended, a VHF radio if you're fishing bigger water conditions. That way you have a way to communicate with other boats and the U.S. Coast Guard. But also make sure you log a float plan with a friend or a loved one so they know what your plan is for the day. And if you don't turn up at the end of the day, they're able to get you the help that you need in a timely fashion. And don't be me. Make sure that you have a checklist before you go out on the water every day. Abide by that checklist, and always have your extra props so you can take care of yourself on the water. Now, if you like this video and you like tips like this, leave a comment below. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much, and we'll see you out on the water.